New Psychic Awakening book is now out for pre-order. You can buy it from Games Workshop from the 15th of February, and inside it it's got chunks for the Tau, for the Astra Militarum, and for GENESTEALER cults. And in this video we're going to look exclusively at the GENESTEALER cult bit. Now the cult section of this book is the smallest section of the book. There's only really 7 pages. Well, there's more than that. There's a bit of fluff in here as well, but there's 7 pages. And the first section tidies up the errata, is an errata for cult ambush. It just tidies up the rules for cult ambush, nothing revolutionary there. Then we've got make your own cult creed. So instead of choosing Cult of the Four-Armed Emperor, you can make up your own GENESTEALER cult on your own faraway world. And there's 2 pages of GENESTEALER cult stratagems, and there is cult psychic powers. There's 6 psychic powers, 1 for each of the original cults. So there's a psychic power for Cult of the Four-Armed Emperor, 1 for the Bladed Cog, 1 for the Rusted Claw, etc. We'll run through them first. So essentially, if you bring the Bladed Claw or Cult of the Four-Armed Emperor, you get a new psychic power. This comes with a caveat. It says all cult psycho models can know the psychic power from their respective cult instead of generating a psychic power from the brood mind discipline. So you get this instead. Cult of the Four-Armed Emperor has Undermine. Undermine has a warp charge value of 8, very high. If manifested, select 1 enemy infantry unit within 18 inches of this psyker. Until the start of your next psychic phase, half the movement characteristics of models in that unit and half any advance or charge rolls. So it's a warp charge value of 8, 18-inch range, half move, half charge, half advance. Now I can see why it's a warp charge value of 8, because anything that messes with movement in this game can be game changing. Hive Cult have a Synaptic Blast, has a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select an enemy unit within 18 inches of the psyker. Don't need line of sight. Roll a number of d6 equal to the number of Hive Cult models from your army within 3 inches of that enemy unit. And for each roll of a 6, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. The Bladed Cog have Undying Vigor, warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select 1 Bladed Cog unit from your army within 12 inches of the psyker, and until the start of your next psychic phase, when a model in that unit would lose a wound, it doesn't on a 5-up. Basically a 5-up, feel no pain, 12-inch aura from the Bladed Cog psyker, warp charge value of 6. It's exactly the same as Catalyst, essentially, from the Tyrannid Codex. The Rusted Claw, Inescapable Decay, has a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select 1 enemy vehicle unit within 18 inches and visible to the psyker. Until the end of the turn, when resolving an attack made with a weapon against that unit, improve the armor penetration characteristic of that weapon for that attack by 1. The Pauper Princes have the Last Gasp. The Last Gasp has a warp charge value of 7. If manifested, select 1 Pauper Princes unit from your army within 12 of the psyker. Until the start of your next psychic phase, when a model in that unit is destroyed, roll 1d6 before removing that model from play. On a 4-up, that model can either shoot with one of its ranged weapons as if it was your shooting phase, or make 1 attack with one of its melee weapons as if it was the fight phase. For a warp charge value of 7 and with a 12-inch aura, that's quite nice. Sorry, not a 12-inch aura, a 12-inch range, but selecting a unit within 12 inches, that's quite nice. The Twisted Helix Mutagenic Deviation. Mutagenic Deviation has a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select an enemy infantry unit within 12 inches of the psyker, and until the start of your next psychic phase, when resolving an attack made with a melee weapon by a Twisted Helix model from your army against that unit, add 1 to the wound roll. And that one's quite nice as well. Pick a unit within 12, adding 1 to the wound roll when you fight them in close combat, but that would benefit multiple. You could have 2-3 GENESTEALER cult units attacking the same unit, and they'll all have +1 to the wound roll. Those are the cult psychic powers, but remember, you've got to swap out the psychic powers from the Broodmind ability and pick one of these instead. Right, now we're going to cult creeds. And essentially what happens is, instead of picking the Bladed Cog or the Four-Armed Emperor, you can select any 2 rules from the following list and make your own, build your own GENESTEALER cult. This is a theme running throughout this book. The Tau have something similar, the Guard have something similar. We're seeing this come across multiple factions in 40k right now. So let's run through these cult creeds. The first one is called Hunters instincts. Until the end of the first battle round, add 1 to the advance and charge rolls made for units with this cult creed. Innate fighters. When resolving an attack made with a melee weapon by a model with this cult creed in a turn in which it made a charge move, was charged, or performed a heroic intervention, reroll hit rolls of 1. That one is quite powerful. Imagine adding that to Hunter's Instinct as well, adding 1 to charge rolls and advance rolls, and when you charge, re-rolling hit rolls of 1, and that's across your entire army. That's a nice basic little combination there. We have Thralls of the Patriarch. When a morale test is taken for a unit with this cult creed, half the number of models that flee. Seasoned Enforcers. Infantry models with this cult creed do not suffer the penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons. So those of you that like bringing mining lasers, that's the one for you. Agile Outriders. Biker models with this cult creed do not suffer the penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons, and do not suffer the penalty for advancing and firing assault weapons. Armor-piercing ammunition. When resolving an attack made with an auto pistol, auto gun, or heavy stubber by a model with this cult creed against a unit that's within half range, increase the armor penetration by -1. Munitions experts. Add 1 to the strength characteristics of grenade weapons. Unnatural symbiosis. When a psychic test is taken for a cult creed model with this cult creed within 6 inches of another friendly cult unit, you can reroll any or all dice rolls of 1. That's for psychers only, rerolling any or all dice rolls of 1. So that one's very specific. If you've got a psyker heavy army, then perhaps you might want to bring that one. Workers Arisen. When resolving an attack made with a weapon from the heavy mining weapons list by a model with this cult creed, you can re-roll the hit roll. Re-roll hits for heavy mining weapons. Again, those mining lasers. Yes, you can combine that one. So you could re-roll the hit rolls with your mining lasers with Workers Arisen, and then not suffer the penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons with Seasoned Enforcers, and get as many mining lasers as you want in your army, because I think a basic unit of 5 can just take 2. Have many of them running around. Devout Worshippers. When a charge roll is made for a cult unit with this cult creed whilst within 3 inches of a friendly hybrid metamorphosis unit, you can re-roll the dice. This cult creed cannot be selected together with the Hunter's Instinct cult creed. That, of course, will affect the hybrid metamorphs unit. So the metamorph unit will re-roll charges, and any other cult unit within 3 inches will re-roll charges. Poison Blades. When resolving an attack made with a bone sword, a lash whip and bone sword, or a cultist knife by a model with this cult creed, and a modified hit roll of 6, you can make 1 additional attack against the same unit. No, it's not an extra hit. You don't automatically on 6s get 2 hits. It's you can make an extra attack. So those are the cult creeds. I think moving and firing with the heavy weapons is the standout one for me, and Hunter's Instinct and Innate Fighters are the standout ones for me. The benefits, the bonuses to advancing and charging, and re-rolling hit rolls of 1 when you get charged or are charging or heroically intervening. So there's a couple of obvious combinations there for you cultist fans, and perhaps some other little ones in there that you guys might want to combine together yourself and find out something that suits your play style. The other 2 pages in this book are the Genestealer Cults Stratagems. Now, all these stratagems only cost 1 CP, except for this first one that I'm going to talk about, which costs 2 CP, which is Integrated Fox Net. And basically this is a Jackal Alphas model. The Jackal Alphas model doesn't use his priority target sighted ability. Instead, he swaps out that ability if you spend this 2 CP for Vox Contact. And if there's an enemy model within 18 inches of him, your whole army can add 1 to the hit roll when targeting that enemy unit. It's 2 CP. Adding 1 to the hit roll, your Jackal Alphas will have to be within 18 inches of the enemy unit, and you can't benefit from target sighted ability and this. It has to be just this. So that's the first and only 2 CP stratagem. All the rest are only 1 CP. So 1 CP, Prepared Ambush. Use this stratagem at the start of your shooting phase. Select 1 Neophyte Hybrids unit from your army that was set up on the battlefield using the Cult Ambush ability in this battle round. Until the end of that phase, autogun models in that unit suddenly become Assault 2. So when you appear from Cult Ambush, Assault 2 autoguns. 1 CP, Annihilating Advance. Use this stratagem in your charge phase when a Goliath, a Rock Grinder unit from your army finishes a charge move. Select an infantry unit that you've charged and roll 1d6, and on a 2+, that enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. So you're doing d3 mortal wounds in the charge phase before that Rock Grinder starts nomming away in the assault phase. 1 CP, Close Range Shootout. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when an Atalan Jackals unit from your army is chosen to shoot with. Until the end of that phase, when resolving an attack made with a pistol or assault weapon by a model in that unit against an enemy unit within 12, you can re-roll the wound roll. So you've got to be within 12, but re-rolling wounds for 1 CP is quite nice. 1 CP, Violence Unleashed. Use this stratagem in the fight phase when a hybrid metamorphs unit from your army is chosen to fight with. Until the end of that phase, add 1 to the attacks characteristics of model in that unit, +1 to attacks. Hybrid metamorphs suddenly get, if there's a whole squad of 10 of them, that's 1 CP. Commanding Amplification. Use this stratagem before the battle and select 1 Clamavus model from your army. The range of that model's Proclamator Hailer ability is increased by 3 inches. And you can only do that once. You can't do it and then do it again on the same model. So if you want your Proclamator Hailer to be 3 inches wider, it costs 1 CP. The Gnarled Fist. Use this stratagem before the battle and select an Abominant unit from your army. That unit's Chosen One ability affects friendly cult aberrant friendly cult aberrant units within 9 inches of that unit instead of only within 6, and you can only use this stratagem once per battle. Raking Fire. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase. Select 1 Achilles Ridge Runner unit from your army. Till the end of the turn, when resolving an attack made with a heavy stubber by models in that unit, add 1 to the hit and add 1 to the wound rolls. 1 CP, the Cult's Psyche. Use this stratagem before the battle. Select 1 Cult Magus unit from your army. That unit can attempt to manifest 1 additional psychic power in your psychic phase. When a psychic test is taken for that unit, add 1 to the total for each other friendly cult psyker within 3. You can only use this stratagem once per battle, but again, if you have multiple psykers, you're going to say he's there and 2 other psykers are with him, he's going to add 1, and then because you have 2 other psykers, you're going to be adding a total of 3. You use the stratagem before the battle, so he's always adding 1. Anyone else around him, he's adding some more. Slipping Through the Shadows, 1 CP. Use the stratagem in your movement phase when a Sanctus unit is chosen to move. Until the end of that phase, when that unit advances, add 6 inches to its move characteristics until the end of that phase, instead of making an advance roll. In addition, until the end of the turn, that unit can be chosen to charge even if it advanced. Genetic Lineage. Use this stratagem in the charge phase. Select 1 Acolyte Hybrids unit from your army. So Acolyte Hybrids. Until the end of that phase, that unit can be chosen to charge with even if it advances. So Acolyte Hybrids charging and advancing for 1 CP. Evasive Driving. Use this stratagem in your opponent's shooting phase when a Rock Grinder or truck from your army is chosen as the target of an attack made with a ranged weapon. Till the end of the phase, weapons with an armor penetration characteristic of -1 or -2 are treated as having an AP of 0. It's only 1 CP. For -1 or -2, 1 CP. Treating it as 0, I like it. And anything that can keep those trucks or the rock grinders alive any longer, because they tend to pop quite easily to... people tend to hit them with a las cannon or a missile launcher, then it's only got a couple of wounds left, and then they'll pepper them with bolt rifles or assault cannons or something like that to strip away the last couple of wounds. This might keep it alive. 1 CP Overcharged Weaponry. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when a cult unit from your army is chosen to shoot with. Till the end of that phase, when resolving an attack made with a clearance, incinerator, heavy mining laser, or heavy seismic cannon by a model in that unit, add 1 to the wound roll. Just 1 CP, adding 1 to the wound roll for those seismic cannons or mining lasers. It's It's going to help you take down vehicles, certainly. 1 CP, the Heart of the Creed. This is the last one as well. Use this stratagem before the battle. Select one Primus model from your army. When that model is set up on the battlefield for the first time, you can select one additional enemy unit for that model's meticulous planner ability, and you can only use this stratagem once per battle. So that's it for the stratagems in the new Psychic Awakening book, The Greater Good. That's it for the Genestealer Cult section in this book. So some chunky stratagems there, some very interesting ones, but the standout thing, the thing that you're going to want to get this book for, is potentially the cult creeds and mixing and matching and using different types of cult creeds. There's also those psychic powers as well, and a couple of them are very interesting. So that's it for this section. I've also done a video on the Tau bit and the Astra Militarum bit, which also includes Scions, if you're interested in that. Thank you to Games Workshop for sending the book through to me. Happy wargaming, guys.